Ah, yes, it is RHYSAND Slander o'clock once more. I'm happy to be here. I am happy to serve. I've talked about like all the reasons why I have problems with Resand before. If anything, I think like I have like a 10-minute fucking long lecture about some of the reasons why I don't like Resand. That ended up going on for like a full half an hour. So if you want like a bigger explanation, I would start there and kind of like follow the replied videos just so you can see where I was when I was talking about that stuff. But that was like back in February. It's almost August now. I would like to think I can talk about this a little bit more succinctly, so I will try to. One, Rhysand sucks because he cannot mind his own fucking business. This whole thing with Elaine and Azriel was their business as consenting adults, and Rhysand cock-blocked the shit out of them. This is not the most egregious thing that Rhysand has done, but it is the thing that made me physically want to fight him. For like my first read through, I was like, what the actual fuck, Rhysand? Reason number two is I think that the premise of Akamath is very flawed and very skewed in that it took this morally gray book boyfriend, like this morally gray dude from Akatar 1 who was willing to do awful, fucked up things in service of the greater good, and it made him the yardstick of morality for everybody else, which throws basically everything about the morality of this world into question. Like, if Prithian is supposed to be a bunch of morally gray fae people doing morally gray fae things, that's one thing. But to set Rhysand up as good when he's not any better than the others, it makes everything kind of get called into question, and then I question the whole concept of Rhysand in the first place. And on a related note of Akamath, reason number three is I think that Chapter 54 is not nearly the absolution that Rhysand needs. I think all Chapter 54 does is just, oh, I have reasons for doing this, this, and this, and Feyre just forgives him. And for me personally, I hate it when an enemies to lovers couple is just the guy does horrible things to the girl until the girl unlocks his backstory, and now like everything is okay and she's healed. Like, that's just not my favorite thing. So Chapter 54, especially on the second read through, reads a little bit hollow to me. The first time I read Akamath, it wasn't so bad. I was like, all right, whatever, like, you can stay, Feyre forgave you. Like, I wouldn't, but whatever. And then I didn't question Rhysand again until Akasif, like Akawar, I didn't give a fuck because that's like the Elriel book, so I didn't care. And then Rhysand fucking lies about the pregnancy. Reason number four, Rhysand kept important medical information away from Feyre and took a lot of choices away from her. And considering that Rhysand is Rhysand, you always have a choice guy, taking away a lot of Feyre's choices during that crucial stage of her pregnancy, it felt really icky. When I am comparing Edward Cullen's reaction to Bella's fucked up pregnancy that was going to mess with her health positively to Rhysand's, I don't want to live on this planet anymore. Because Akatar is supposed to be like a graduation upon the Twilight ideas and a better, it reads like a better, more feminist version of Twilight. But when it came to something as simple as a woman's choice to deal with the consequences of what happens in a risky pregnancy, Edward somehow handled it better, where like he wanted Bella alive and he did everything he could to get her to like put her own health over like Renesmee's or fucking ravioli. And then when she was adamant about it and she got Edward to connect with Rasputin on an emotional level, Edward then like conceded to his wife at that point, and that is somehow a better reaction than what Rhysand did. So the bar is on the floor. The bar is in hell. It worked out, but like I'm not happy about it. Reason number five, Rhysand is just a really shitty ruler. Like, yes, the last 50 years or so, he was dealing with Amarantha. Like, he wasn't ruling the Night Court in the way that Tamlin was ruling the Spring Court. But even if we give him that grace, he had 450 years to clean up Illyria, to the point where we wouldn't have to worry about Rhysand leaving for 50 years and then them going right back to clipping wings and treating women horribly. Rhysand had 450 years to get Illyria and the Court of Nightmares in order, and he just didn't do it. And I have to wonder, did he give enough of a fuck about the Court of Nightmares and Illyria? And I don't think that he did. I think he was so focused on Valaris, and to the point where, like, he saved Valaris over everyone else in the Night Court, and then he punished Illyria and the Court of Nightmares for obeying him while he was under service to Amarantha and serving Amarantha. The Court of Nightmares and Illyria, they followed along with him, so the Night Court looked more evil, but then Rhysand punished them for it. So, like, what the fuck, Rhysand? And even just the very concept of the Court of Nightmares and Illyria and Valaris being these insular little city-states within his court, it reads like there is no societal mobility. Like, you get to Valaris and you're in the Promised Land, but then the Court of Nightmares and Illyria, like, you're basically stuck in those places and you can't get out. And there's a lot of anti-Rhysand people who would say that the Night Court is essentially run like an apartheid state. And while that's a really big leap to take, especially since Sarah did not intend to write the Night Court as an apartheid state, but we're seeing it there, so we're like, it's not good. It's not good. And this is why making Rhysand the yardstick of morality is so bad, because I think if we had Rhysand just being like the motherfucker that he was in ACOTAR 1, I wouldn't think twice about him running like a high fantasy apartheid state, because he's a fucked up person and Feyre falls in love with him anyway. Like, that is, you're falling in love with like a morally gray, morally black villain protagonist dude. That is what I expected. But when Rhysand is like the apartheid state guy, but then he's also viewed as the yardstick of morality, it basically skews everything that you're trying to say about like feminism and like the intersectional parts of ACOTAR's politics. Like, it's very weird. It rings very hollow. And Rhysand being like a good guy rather than a morally gray villain protagonist, it makes him like hypocritical and annoying. Reason number 6 or 7, I lost count. The narrative tends to forgive Rhysand for doing things that Tamlin does, or like different, like kind of different things than what Tamlin does, but like the same in spirit. But it punishes Tamlin for those things and rewards Rhysand for those things. So there's a double standard here, which sucks because Tamlin and Rhysand are foils. Tamlin is what Rhysand would be if Rhysand didn't have the inner circle. So Tamlin being punished for the same behavior, it doesn't feel fair. And that's why the Tamlin redemption people, the pro-Tamlin people, they're so loud, because it's like, how are we looking at Tamlin's behavior and being like, oh, he's like the fucking worst, like he's like fucking tampon or whatever, but then Rhysand he just gets to slide right on by. Why? Because he's the morally gray book boyfriend poster child, but really he's not a morally gray good book boyfriend. He's a good guy. He's framed like a good guy, but really he sucks. And because of that, it makes Feyre's journey also ring a little hollow if you've kind of caught the foil characteristics of Rhysand and Tamlin. It kind of makes Feyre's objections to Tamlin and concessions to Rhysand ring that much more hollow as well. Like, it fucks with Feyre's characterization as well. And I fucking love Feyre. I want the best for her. And we haven't even touched upon Rhysand's treatment of Nesta throughout. His treatment of Elaine is a little bit better, but his treatment of Nesta is egregiously bad. And Rhysand's treatment of Nesta is so bad that it actually fucks with Cassian's characterization as well, and the veracity of the Nessian bond. And this isn't even getting into how he treats everybody else, like the way he shits on Lucien, the way that he undercuts Morrigan during Akawar when he schemes with Keir and Eris over her head. It doesn't get into how he lets Amren slide on by for shit that he would never excuse from Nesta. I could go on about this. Like, there's so much to talk about. It's just, RHYSAND's annoying and hypocritical, and I could.